Look, I don't know if it's embarrassing, depressing, or maybe even impressive how bad the Detroit Pistons basketball team is. I mean, you got these guys doing a try not to win challenge in real life. Bro thinks he's Kenny Beecham. The Detroit Pistons aren't just bad, they're 2-20 bad. And naturally, the star player is going to be under blast, which just so happens to be former first overall pick Cade Cunningham. Is any of this criticism he's receiving warranted, or is Detroit really just full of future McDonald's employees? If you grew up like me watching basketball in the 2010s to now, there's 3 things in your life that you've known: death, taxes, and the Detroit Pistons being either mid or ass. And this can all be routed back to a simple problem. The Detroit Pistons cannot draft to save their life.
The 7th pick in the draft belongs to the Detroit.
The Detroit Pistons front office really took that Dion Waiters quote seriously, because out of the 9 chances they've had to draft in the top 10, they've come up with 1 All-Star, and that was Andre Drummond.
They go back to their starters. Sands, no. Shot to...
As of recently though, I do have to give credit. The Detroit Pistons definitely killed the 2023 draft. Azur Thompson looks like a future defensive player of the year, and Marcus Sasser was a steal in the 2nd round. The issue is, outside of that and the obvious pick of Cade Cunningham, what has Detroit done with the draft to supplement their team right now? Guys like Sekou Doumbia, Luke Kennard, the Stanimal, all got traded for next to nothing after like 1 or 2 years in Detroit. So it's safe to say that those were not good draft picks. But now we move on to the notorious, the one and only Killian Hayes. I'm not gonna lie, when Overtime was posting about this guy's story and the come up from Australia, I really did think he was gonna be next up in Detroit. But now we're in year 4, and Killian Hayes still can't shoot the ball, still can't finish with his right hand, and somehow still has a starting job. It's not like Killian Hayes is consistently ass. When everybody gives up on Killian Hayes after like a week of trash, he'll put up like 23 points and give you some false hope that he's turned the corner in this game and he's different. And then he goes back to being ass. And hey, whether you're a Killian supporter or not, we can all agree on one thing. Jaden Ivey is getting robbed for his minutes by Killian Hayes. Jaden Ivey was the 5th overall pick in the 2022 draft, and like I said, Detroit's been drafting really good as of recent. However, there is no reason for him to not play after putting up this rookie season. I'm pretty sure you can take Killian Hayes' first 2 years in the NBA, combine them, and Ivey's rookie year numbers still look better on paper. Ivey was taken for his burst and his slashing ability. Yet even from a spacing standpoint, it doesn't make sense why Killian Hayes starts over him. He shoots the ball better, he gets to the rim more efficiently, and he creates for his teammates better. And yeah, Jaden Ivey hasn't been good this year, but reducing his minutes and ruining his confidence is not a good way to make him play better. And some of this can be put on the coach, Monty Williams. If you guys have followed Monty Williams through his career, you know he is a defensive-minded coach. And with that, Killian Hayes definitely fits that defense-first type player in comparison to Jaden Ivey. But with that being said, you have to know your personnel. You're capping your team and your star player's ability when you put a worse 3-point shooter out on an already bad 3-point shooting lineup. Now let's dive deeper into that star player. My glorious light-skinned king, Cade Cunningham. Let's first talk about the biggest area of concern, the turnovers. The biggest hole in Cade's offense isn't a secret. His burst as an athlete is just not there. Now as a vertical athlete, that's a completely different story. But when it comes to moving downhill with the ball, Cade is generally not a shifty player. I would compare his on-ball athleticism to that of 2020 or 2021 James Harden, where he's beating defenders by his craftiness and footwork, not necessarily having quick feet or an explosion off the dribble. The disparity comes when pressure is sent. Like here, for example, Bruce Brown, a great perimeter defender, plants himself high, and with little to no power from his back foot at all, Cade tries to attack Brown's top foot very lackadaisically. Or here, where Cade simply is just gift wrapping Dort a free steal. In my opinion, a lot of this is just getting a feel for the NBA, with Cade missing a ton of games in his 3-year career, playing almost less than double some of his classmates. His turnovers definitely have room to improve, yet this number does feel inflated to me and doesn't paint the full picture. Let me compare this to Fortnite for a second. Let's say you and your duo push a team. You knock one and get the other guy very low, meaning all your teammate has to do is simply finish the last guy. He can't kill him and you guys lose and you don't get credit for the kill. Is this your fault for not killing both guys? Well, for Cade, he's the first guy in that analogy. Cade will make the most well-placed pass in a pick and roll or a double team setting, and more times than not, his teammate's either going to drop the ball or it's going to slip out of his hands and he's going to get the turnover for it. Say what you want about his turnover totals, there's no denying how impressive it is that Cade is in the top 5 for total assists, with unanimously the worst starting 5 in basketball around him. And that brings me to my next point, which is the lack of creators outside of Cade Cunningham on Detroit. Jaden Ivey, Marcus Sasser, and Killian Hayes are the only 3 creators outside of Cade Cunningham on Detroit that can genuinely create a shot and also create for teammates. The issue with Killian and Ivey this year is they cannot shoot the ball, and teams know this, negating their creation due to the lack of putting any pressure at all on the perimeter on defenses. This also means teams' entire game plans can be to blitz and press Cade at all times with no worries about anyone else pressuring them as a scoring threat. And this is yet another reason why I give leverage to Cade for a lot of his turnovers. He's facing more pressure than half the superstars in the NBA right now. Cade as a shooter right now is very inconsistent, but when he's on, he is very much a great shooter. Similarly to other elite creators from 3, the eye test is going to tell you more than the efficiency will. Cade's taking the majority of his 3-point attempts with 7 to 14 seconds on the shot clock, meaning most of these are coming from isolation and unassisted looks. This doesn't fully excuse him for being an inefficient player from 3, but it does give him some leeway as to why it is so inefficient. Something you want out of an elite creator and your primary ball handler is getting to the rim regardless of the spacing. And Cade has more than checked this box getting to the rim. Although very inefficient once he gets to the rim, this problem is so much more manageable and easier to fix than actually being able to get to the rim and finish. Cade's showing all the signs that he can be an elite creator and shooter in the league. But to take that step objectively, he needs a better roster around him. Cade is still a very flawed player. Luckily, he's extremely young and has only played 100 career games so far. But if the Detroit Pistons continue to mismanage their roster, we might be looking at another what if in the NBA. Let me know your opinion on the Cade and Detroit Pistons situation. Is it Cade's fault? Is it Detroit for not getting him a roster? Am I glazing? Let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe. It helps me a lot. I'm trying to be consistent, but I need some support to know that I should keep going. I love y'all. Peace.